guys, welcome to London Players Guild. Today we're going to start a series of deck profiles for the decks I think are going to have a very good showing in Store Championship format. So for people who don't know, Store Championship is a brand new format for Store Championships in Unison Warrior, where you can only use cards from core set Unison Warriors, a Rise of Unison Warriors, and the 3 starter decks start coming out in the same set. So we can't use Senzu Beans, we can't use Cold Bloodlust, all the negates, all the super combos that have not been printed in set 10. Also, you still can't use the reprints in the starter deck, so you are stuck with only cards from set 10 and the exclusives from the starters, at least as far as we know. So we came up with a couple of deck ideas here at the London Players Guild, and we're going to show you the deck that's by far the most powerful deck. It's the deck to beat when you go to the Store Championships if your LGS is going to be running those. So make sure to stick around and see the deck. Definitely, you can see the deck list already on the screen, so if you're only here for the deck list, you can screenshot this or pause the video and enjoy this. If you want to know more in depth on why specific cards in the sideboard, why specific cards in the main board, and the count of the cards, etc., then do stick around. I'm going to be talking about that, and we are going to... I just noticed that I haven't done my prep work. So this is a deck that everyone thinks is going to be the best one, so let's just go into it. Yes, so starting with the leader, Xin Shenron. When this card attacks, you look at the 5 cards from the top of your deck and add 1 Shadow Dragon to your hand and shuffle the deck. And during your at the end of your turn, you can switch one of your yellow Shadow Dragons in battle area to active mode. So it doesn't matter what you attack. You can attack a Unison card, you can attack a battle card, you can attack a leader card. As long as you declare attack with the leader, you get to search for your pieces. Definitely you will want to search for the 1-drops, but we're going to go there in a moment. And it has 2 types of awakening available. One is at 3 or less life, and another one is if you have a yellow Unison with a specified cost of 4 in play, which currently we have only 1, which is Mechikabura, so obviously we're playing 4 of those. And the awakening is draw 2 and untap 1 energy. The deck has a lot of draw, and I think the biggest issue for the deck is if they can't close the game, then they will just mill themselves out. But we're going to go there in a moment. The backside, the awakened side, Xin Shenron negative energy overflow. Whenever he attacks, you draw a card, so you lose that consistency sadly when you awaken. And then at the end of your turn, you choose all of your yellow Shadow Dragons in the battle area and switch them to active mode, which is amazing because you have very strong blockers in this deck. Then activate main, you can pay 6 yellow to play up to 7 Shadow Dragon cards with different card names from your drop area. We currently have only 6. There is a tournament pack promo and a Store Championship secret, which are not legal in the format as far as we know. So you only have 6 targets in the main deck. And we're playing 4 of each of the target, because they're amazing. Let's start with the Unison cards. So Mechikabura, Plotting Revival. One of the strongest Unison cards we've seen in this set. So he has 4 specified yellow, 15,000 power. He's a blocker. And once per turn, when this card loses marker due to an opponent's attack, you can choose up to 1 of your opponent's cards and switch it to rest mode. So when it is being attacked, you can just rest one of your opponent's cards, or if you block the attack, you can rest one of your opponent's cards. In Constructed, it works very well with Bergamo, but we don't have Bergamo here, so it's still strong. You can switch energy to rest, leader, Unison, battle card, field card. +1. You draw 1 card and then choose one of your opponent's battle cards in rest mode, ignoring barrier, and that card can't be switched to active mode until the end of your opponent's next turn. So you choose something in, well, you choose a battle card in rest mode, and they can't do anything with it next turn. The skills still work, but the card can't be switched to active mode even with skills. So it can essentially turn off one of the cards, 4+1, and it draws you a card. And then we go into -4, choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards, gain control of it, and switch it to active mode. This skill is amazing. You can literally take anything without barrier from your opponent. Black Smoke Dragon would, in Constructed, is one of the best choices. The SS3 Gotenks that we have here as a secret, which is probably going to be quite popular. Gogeta, less so, but you could technically. There is a lot of stuff you can take away with it. You can take Vegeta from your opponent. You can't take indestructible cards, so you can't take cards from Zamasu, but yeah, you can take a lot of battle cards away. You will use it usually on your kill turn to remove an obstacle, but yeah. And a backup Unison card is Super Saiyan Gogeta Dynamic Unison. Dynamic Unison. So it's a defensive card. If all of your energy is in rest mode, your mono yellow leader gets plus 5k power during your opponent's turn. So on awakened side, you're 15k defensive. On non-awakened side, you're 15k defensive. On awakened side, you're 20k defensive. And then once per turn, when your opponent activates an extra card, you add a marker to this card. I don't think that skill is going to come in handy very often in this format. You are going to most likely be using the +1 on here, which is you may choose 2 cards in your hand. Pardon me. You may choose 2 yellow cards in your hand specifically and discard them. If you do that, you draw 2 cards. So it's not up to 2, but you can just +1 and not use the effect. And for -4, your opponent can only untap 2 energy. Can be huge against certain decks, most notably against Sin Shenron. Late game definitely is going to be important, but I think against decks like Zamasu, it's not going to be that great. Next we go into our Shadow Dragons. So starting with the Sin line, we have negative energy 1-star ball. So 1-star ball and 2-star ball, which we're going to see later, are both exactly the same. 1 cost, yellow required, 1 power. They're both Shadow Dragons, and they both have respective Shadow Dragons names. They have different names. They can be resurrected with the leader. Both of them can't attack and can't be affected by your opponent's skills at all. But they can still be counterplayed, but it's very rare. And then activate main, you can pay 1 yellow. If your leader is Shadow Dragon, you can send them to the drop area and play respective Shadow Dragon. With this one is with cost between 2 and 4, and the Haze can play between 2 and 3. So you need to sacrifice this to play the new card. Again, gives you an option to answer, but yeah, this lets you play your Shadow Dragons from the deck fairly cheap. Ideal play, we're going to go that in a moment. What's the ideal play here? So the 4-drop Sin Shenron that you will be playing is Sin Shenron Shadow Dragon Leader. 4-drop, 1 yellow required, is a blocker, 19,000 power, which is a bit awkward for our secret, but then when this card is removed from your battle area by an opponent's skill, so it doesn't count through battle, you draw 1 card, then play up to 1 negative energy 1-star ball from your drop area. So you don't need to play, but you still need to draw if it's removed by a skill. And when this card is played, you choose up to 1 of your opponent's leader cards in rest mode, so all battle cards with energy cost 4 or less in rest mode, and that card can't attack until the end of your opponent's next turn, which means you can stop a leader from attacking, so getting an advantage from drawing there, because all the leaders here draw. This is a very strong skill, especially if your opponent keeps on attacking you. Just for 2 energy you can get that done, and essentially you can skip their leader attack every other turn because they need to be in rest mode, unless you rest their leader with your Mechi Kabura and then replay the Sin Shenron and then, rinse and repeat. And the boss monster of the deck is Sin Shenron Distraction Incarnate. He's a 9 drop that costs 4 yellow. You will never pay that cost for him. Let me tell you that right now. You're more likely combo him off and pay 6 on your leader to play him from your drop area than pay 9 for him. He's blocker with revenge, which with his 30,000 power is absurd. So whatever he blocks is going to die, and he's most likely surviving that. That includes secrets, by the way, with few exceptions, but yeah. And when your opponent he has X evolve. For 1 yellow, you can evolve it on Sin Shenron with energy cost of 4 exactly. So you can't evolve it on top of itself, you can't evolve it on tournament pack free drop or on the secret. So, when your opponent plays a battle card, you may choose that battle card, ignoring barrier, and negate its skill for the turn. The when played effect still will activate, but it's still a strong effect. It's going to negate a lot of things. I mean, it's going to remove barrier, at least for a turn. It's going to remove all the auto skills beside the when played, all the activate mains, which are really strong. It's not going to negate the negative energy balls because they're not affected. And when this card is removed from your battle area by an opponent's skill or KO'd, so this one works when it's killed by battle as well, which is a very important thing. So whenever this card is removed from board by your opponent or KO'd, you draw 2 cards and then you play up to 1 negative energy 1-star ball from your drop area. So yeah, you get to every time this card is removed, you draw 2 cards, even if you don't play the 1-star ball from your drop area. That's not the problem, because then your turn comes around, you pay 6 and you just bring everything out. But yeah, you will never run out of cards in hand. Hand control can't touch this deck. It's very difficult for hand control to touch this deck. This Sin Shenron is a monster, because your opponent will need to use a lot of resources to get rid of that. Even 1 for 1, they essentially neg 2 because you draw 2 cards. And if they want to attack this, there's this huge blocker revenge that just says no. And yeah, I think the card is amazing, and this is definitely a powerhouse. You can bring this card out as soon as turn 2. So turn 1, you drop the 1-star ball, the negative energy 1-star ball. Turn 2, you charge your second yellow, you pay 1 yellow, bring a 4-drop, and then pay 1 yellow and evolve 4-drop into this, and yeah. And then you can attack with it, because then your leader moves it back to active mode. Card is insane. Then we go into the second chain. We have negative energy 2-star ball, which is a Haze Shenron. And it lets you play Haze Shenron with cost between 2 and 3, which we only have 1 target for right now. But again, it can play it from deck or hand, and it's generally way cheaper to play the cards. So the one you're going to be playing is Haze Shenron, the Poison Mancer. He's a 3-drop, 2 yellow. He is critical, which is a really strong skill in this format. And when this card is played, you add up to 1 Shadow Dragon card with energy cost 4 or less from your drop area to your hand. You most likely are going to be bringing either the 4-drop Haze Shenron or the targets for the negative energy balls. You're not going to be bringing balls back with this, most likely the targets for them. So another Haze Shenron, either this one or the double strike one or the 4-drop Sin Shenron. That's going to be your main targets. And speaking of the 4-drop, Haze Shenron Venomous Mist. So a 4-drop, 2 yellow, 20k, has double strike, X evolve for free on top of a 3-drop. So you choose if you have a 15k critical or 20k double striker. And when a card evolves into this card, you switch this card to active mode and you can't play copies of this card for the turn. So essentially what it means, you can attack with critical, then evolve, untap, attack for double strike. And you're only stopped from playing copies of this card if you evolve into it. Which means that if you resurrect the 3-drop and the 4-drop, then bring back another 4-drop to hand of Haze Shenron, you can attack with the 3-drop, attack with the 4-drop, evolve into 4-drop, untap, and attack again. It's amazing. And if your leader card is a Shadow Dragon card and you choose 1 Shadow Dragon card in your hand and discard it, when this card attacks or is used in a combo, you choose one of your opponent's battle cards in rest mode with energy cost greater than their current energy and KO it. This card is a removal against anything that wants to cheat out expensive stuff. So let's say they bring out the Vegito, let's say they bring out the Pilaf machine. You can just either combo this when they attack you, or they bring out Gotenks. You combo this when they attack you, or you play this and attack and kill their stuff by just discarding a Shadow Dragon card. Yeah, the card is amazing. It's a 0 cost 5k combo as well for removal. It does need to remove a card that has higher cost than your opponent has energy, but it's still very easy to do, very easy to use. And even if you don't use that effect, it's a 20k double striker that you can get very easily on board. You want to be playing it also for the name, because it's a Shadow Dragon. Now to our utility. We have Giro the Dragon Ball Discoverer, which surprisingly is not working with Gotenks, which surprised me a lot, but when this card is played, you look at the top 5 cards from your deck, and you either add yellow unison card with specified cost of 4, so Mechikabura, or 1 yellow battle card with energy cost of 1 among them, and then add it to your hand and shuffle the deck. So the thing is that in this deck we have the super combo, we have Giru because he can add himself and the balls. So there is a total of 16 targets, which I think is one of the most, and this is a deck that makes the best use of Mechikabura as well. So definitely I like to see, I'm surprised that Giru works with them, but I like to see that they actually have this type of support. You're not going to be playing this card turn 1. Turn 1 you want to be dropping a 1-star ball. If not, then 2-star ball is your next drop. But yeah, you want to be dropping balls early on. Giru later on, turn 2, 3, you might want to drop Giru to try find Mechikabura before turn 4. So you can play Mechikabura on turn 4. I think that's the best use of Giru. He can also find you super combos in the late game, which can be useful, but you draw so many cards that I don't think that's going to be relevant. Speaking of the super combos, we have a Counter Blast Son Gohan, which is the new type of super combo, which is a 1-drop which does something when it's played, or on board in case of Bulma, but yeah. And then it has something when you combo it. So it's a 1-drop 4k Son Goten GT, not that Son Gohan GT, sorry, not that it helps anything. If you read the card is yellow and your life is 4 or less, when this card is used in combo, you choose one. Either draw one card, or if it's your turn and the opponent has 5 or more cards in rest mode, you can KO one of their battle cards with cost 5 or less that is in rest mode. It doesn't ignore barrier, but can remove a lot of stuff. Doesn't affect unison cards. Most often you will be using it as a combo to draw a card, but it also has an effect that when you play this card, you choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards and switch it to rest mode, which can be amazing, because they might want to keep something in the back, or they might keep the Sin Shenron, the 9-drop Sin Shenron in active mode. You just rest it, because it doesn't check for the cost of what it's resting. So you might just remove that blocker so you can attack through it. On the mirror matches, I think playing this card is going to be more important than not. Next is the counterplay. So in this set we got a 3 counterplays. For yellow it's Vegeta, Prideful Transformation. So this is for Vegeta fans are going to be happy. He's a blocker with 14,000 power. Again, a bit weird number. You can activate when you activate his counterplay, you can't activate counterplay skills of other cards for the turn. And the battle card being played is played in rest mode, then you play Vegeta. Also, if you have a yellow unison card with 2 or more markers, you can play this card for free from your hand. This is mostly when they're playing something big that you don't want to deal with, like SS3 or a critical attacker or double striker, something that you don't want to attack your face, or a blocker and they're not playing Shadow Dragons. You just use this to stop that. We are playing 2 Son Goku Absolute Annihilation. I'm not convinced on this card. It's a 3-drop, 3 yellow required, deflect, barrier and unique. If your leader is yellow, your opponent can't activate extra cards unless they switch one of their energy to rest mode. This essentially creates a cost for all the free counterplays and counterattacks. So this is here mostly as a taxation. When you try to push for the game, you just, even if you try to just push for some pressure, mostly against green decks, you just drop this so they can't use Dormant Potential Unleashed, or they can't counterplay you. When they're tapped out, of course. Other than that, the card is a decent 20k. You want to keep it on board. You don't really want to attack with it. I think you would probably never attack with it unless you're going for the game. Then we have our extra card. The only extra card we play in this deck is that Dark Dragon Slaying Bullet. That's a mouthful. Counterplay. If you have a yellow unison card in play, if the battle card being played has an energy cost of 4 or less, you negate its skills before it's played, and it's played in the rest mode. It's an amazing card that can stop a lot of damage coming your way. It doesn't go around deflect, but it can stop battle cards from dropping with any nasty skills like Sin Shenron or Haste Shenron, the 4-drop or less. It's kinda like Bloodlust meets Crusher Ball, but it is required for the cost only 4 or less. And it has a permanent that if all of your energy is mono yellow, you can activate this card's counter skill from your hand without paying its energy, but you need to choose and discard 2 cards from hand. The reason why playing 4 of them is because you will draw so many cards that it is possible to discard them. In the worst case, you can just discard another copies of this card. Or discarding your Shadow Dragons is actually not that bad because you can keep on resurrecting them with your leader. And the last card in the deck is SS3 Gotenks, Blazing Fusion. So I was thinking between Gogeta and Gotenks, and Gotenks feels better as a finisher than Gogeta. Mostly because as long as Gogeta is on board, you cannot bring back your Shadow Dragons anymore, which is sad. So, for starters, the card costs 1 less for each battle card with cost 15k, with power 15k in your drop area. It needs to be 15k exactly. So we only have actually 1 card that fulfills that, and that's a 3-drop Haste Shenron. So if we have all 4 of them in the drop area, this card costs 4, otherwise we'll need to pay a bit more, but that's not an issue. The other effect is the same as King Vegeta had, so negate the skills of all other battle cards, which can be annoying because it also negates your own blocker skills and things like that, but it's only negating battle cards. It doesn't negate unison cards, so unison cards still work. It stops ETB effects, so you won't be your opponent or you won't be able to get when played effects. And when this card is removed from your battle area by an opponent's skill, you choose all of your opponent's battle cards and energy in rest mode, ignoring barrier, and place them in their owner's drop areas. I don't think this card is ever going to be removed by a skill, but it is possible. Yes, it is possible for it to be removed. But the fact that it negates the skills of the battle cards, I don't think there's an extra card that could remove it in any way, shape or form currently in the format. I might be wrong, you might let me know that there is something wrong with that. Most likely what you're going to do is just swing with this double strike, or maybe you will just keep it around and combo with it after your opponent tries to play out, and then all your cards will get the skills back. So this is for the main deck. I was actually quite struggling with the side deck because there is not much that this deck is actually scared of. I think this deck is only scared of Mirror Match, really. So there's a bunch of cards against Mirror Match. There's a bunch of cards against Swarm, because I think Swarm might also be a bit problematic, like Pilaf, which can drop lots of battle cards at once. Pilaf by turn 3, I think, can drop 10 attacks on turn 3. with a good hand. So we have some answers to that as well. So starting with Toa, Twisted Sister. Lovely card. Counterplay, play this card, auto when this card is played. Draw one card, then shuffle up to one card from your opponent's drop area into their deck. This is against Shadow Dragon Mirror. So in response to their leader activate main, you play Toa and autos resolve before activate mains fully resolve. So you get to shuffle back one of their cards, one of their potential targets to the deck. Ideally the 1 of 9 drop that they had in the drop area, just to make it easier for yourself. Then we have Putin, the Dark Sorcerer. This is a barrier unique. This is a yellow supportive card, and it says if your leader card is yellow, when an opponent's card is switched to rest mode by one of your card skills, you may play this card from your hand. So either Son Gohan or Michikabura skills. You can play this during your opponent's turn as well with Michikabura, and that's pretty much it. Because cards being played in rest mode is not considered cards being switched to rest mode. And auto once per turn, when your opponent plays a battle card using a skill or activates a counter skill, you choose up to one of your opponent's battle cards and switch it to rest mode. Again, against Shadow Dragons, this is something you want, so they play their big stuff. You rest one of the stuff that came out, so they can't attack you because it's going to restand at the end of the turn. But then when you attack, when they try to use any counter attacks or counter plays or anything like that, you can just switch one of their battle cards to rest mode, so get rid of that blocker. It's not very good, but it's a free body with barrier that can provide that additional value. Burning Impact is another card against Sin Shenron. You shuffle 2 battle cards. It's a counter attack that shuffles 2 battle cards from your opponent's drop area into their deck. And if you have a unison card, you can use it for free. It doesn't negate the attack, but shuffling the 2 battle cards from your opponent's drop area to their deck can be quite useful. It's again against Sin Shenron or against Gotenks as well would be quite good actually. I think against Frieza as well it would be quite good. Shuffling back cards from the drop area. Time Bullet. So if you have a unison card in play, it's a 2-drop. If you have a counterplay, if you have a unison card in play, if the battle card being played has an energy cost of 2 or less, it's sent to the warp instead of being played. So this is quite an expensive counterplay, but it is to stop like peel-off decks and a mirror as well. So you use Time Bullet against the 1-drop balls to warp them so they don't go back to the drop area, so they need to drop more stuff. And you can also activate this card from your hand by discarding 2 cards rather than paying the cost. I don't think paying the cost on this card in this deck would be too problematic though, because you want to keep a lot of energy open. So yeah, a very simple sideboard. The deck doesn't really need that much of a sideboard. I think you can very easily go with your main board everywhere and you can still win the tournament. If you're going to be preparing for the Store Championship, this is the deck that you want to beat, or this is the deck you want to be playing if you want to join the crowd, I guess. Let us know what would you change in this deck. Let us know what decks do you expect to see or what decks do you want to play. If you guys enjoyed, make sure to let us know in the comments below, and I'll see you guys next time.
Hey everyone, Scott here. Thank you for watching that video. We hope you enjoyed it. If you want to continue to support LPG outside of YouTube, I would implore you to check out our Patreon, our Facebook page, twitch.tv/playersguild, and our own site, londonplayersguild.com, all of which are linked in the description below. If you can't, not a problem. We just hope you enjoyed your stay and we'll see you in the next one. Thank you.